I transmigrated into a novel and not as the protagonist, but the loathsome villainous side character. My so-called CEO wife, Elena, stood before me, her voice sharp as shards of ice, forcing a divorce onto the table. Jail or divorce, pick one. The original character's tragic fate flashed through my mind. Bankrupt family, suicidal father, terminally ill mother, and finally rotting in prison for assault. I didn't hesitate for a second. Snatching the pen she'd tossed, I scrawled Jasper the original's name across the divorce papers. Elena's expression darkened instantly, her brows knitting tight. Jasper, have you really thought this through? My heart skipped a beat, but not from fear. I immediately clamped a hand over my wallet, and the faint hope of a settlement inside. Was she joking? The $2 million in the agreement was non-negotiable. I died pulling an all-nighter for a dead-end job. I wasn't giving up a cent of this second chance at stability. Let me backtrack. When I woke up after transmigrating, I found myself locked in a damp basement, starving and parched. The original Jasper was a spoiled, impulsive heir. His family's wealth had turned him into a brute. 3 years prior, he'd seen Elena working part-time at a club, fallen in love at first sight, and refused to take no for an answer. He'd used her mother's sky-high medical bills as leverage, forcing her into marriage. Those 3 years were miserable. No matter how Jasper begged or threatened, Elena never loved him. Her heart belonged to her first love, Noah. Jasper grew increasingly jealous, lashing out at anyone who got close to her. While he wasted himself on obsession, Elena built a business empire from the ground up. Then disaster struck. Jasper's family went bankrupt, his father jumped from a rooftop, and his mother lay comatose in the hospital. 2 days before I transmigrated, Jasper had seen Elena give Noah a birthday gift. Blinded by rage, he hit Noah with his car. Furious, Elena locked him in the basement with no food or water left to die. I'd barely clung to life when she finally showed up, tossing the divorce papers at my feet and looking down at me like I was dirt. Noah's badly hurt, she'd said, her tone cold. Press charges, and you'll spend years in jail. My eyelids twitched. I'd just escaped death once. I wasn't going to waste this new life behind bars. Jail or divorce, pick one. Elena repeated, her pretty face hard as stone. The only person I love is Noah. Sign it. That's when I'd grabbed the papers and my eyes lit up. The settlement included $2 million and a villa in the city's most expensive district. This was a goldmine. I just picked up the pen to sign when I realized it had no ink. Panicked, I wasn't letting this slip. I bit my finger and scrawled my name in blood before shoving the papers back to her. Signed. When's the settlement transferring? Elena froze. The old Jasper would have thrown a fit, screaming, threatening suicide, even smashing furniture at the mere mention of divorce. Now, I was practically begging for it. You agreed, she said, stunned. I bit my lip so hard it hurt, forcing down the grin that wanted to break free. These 2 days, I nearly starved to death. I thought a lot. I'd rather set you free than make you hate me more. My lie worked. Elena unlocked the basement door and let me out. But I wasn't taking chances. The blood signature felt risky. I rushed to a print shop, had a new agreement made, and signed it properly. On my way to hand it to Elena, I heard her on the phone, her voice tight with urgency. I'll be right there, she said, hanging up. Before I could speak, she grabbed my arm. Come with me to the hospital. At the hospital, I learned the worst. Noah had hemophilia, and he needed an urgent blood transfusion. And my blood type was a perfect match. Elena turned to me, her jaw set. You're donating. I cursed inwardly. I'd always been terrified of needles, and losing blood would leave me weak for days. Can I not? Contempt flashed across Elena's face. If you hadn't hit him with your car, he wouldn't be fighting for his life right now. She gripped my arm so hard it bruised, her eyes blazing with hatred like she wanted to tear me apart. You're donating whether you like it or not. They drew 400 milliliters. I stumbled out of the room, lightheaded and dizzy, but Elena didn't spare me a glance. Her whole world was Noah. A twinge of disappointment pricked me even though I wasn't the real Jasper. I felt for the fool who'd loved her so fiercely, only to be treated like garbage. But then I thought of the $2 million, and the dizziness faded. A little blood loss was nothing for that kind of money. Outside, I pulled out my phone and saw a trending topic. #JasperCarAttack. Turns out, after I hit Noah, Elena's fans. She'd turned him into an A-list actor last year with her company's money, had dragged me online. They were calling me a monster, photoshopping my face onto funeral posters, and even doxing my old address. I didn't care. Let them rage. Once the money hit my account, I could start over. Wait a second. If I was this famous or infamous, why not cash in? Live streaming sales could work. I had traffic, even if it was negative. I remembered Elena's company had a media division, so I called her, eager to pitch the idea. She rejected me flat. We're not divorced yet. You're not embarrassing me on camera. Dejected, I trudged back to home, which was actually Elena's villa. My family's old mansion had been auctioned off after the bankruptcy, and she'd bought this place. She could kick me out anytime. Wandering the halls, I noticed her jewelry collection. Diamond necklaces, ruby bracelets, emerald earrings, priceless pieces, many of which the old Jasper had gifted her. I wondered if she'd notice if one or two went missing. Before I could act, Elena called. Her grandmother had heard about the divorce and was furious. She refused to let it happen. Elena needed me to come with her to talk to her. Elena's parents had died when she was young. Her grandmother had raised her, so she obeyed her without question. I didn't want to go. Complications meant delaying the settlement, but if her grandma blocked the divorce, I might never get the money. I needed a backup. Fine, I'll go, I said. But per the agreement, you owe me $2 million. Give me $200K upfront first. Elena stared at me, disgusted. Jasper, when did you become so greedy? I shrugged. Try going bankrupt once. You'll start clinging to money too. Besides, the guy who used to throw cash around? That wasn't me. In my old life, I hesitated to spend $10 on instant noodles. Elena rolled her eyes, but she transferred the $200K anyway. I grinned at the notification finally. Some real money. Her grandmother lived in a small, cozy house in the suburbs. Elena had offered to move her into the villa, but the old lady refused. You can't forget where you came from. When she opened the door and saw me, her face lit up. Jasper, dear, she said, pulling me into a hug. The old Jasper had been sweet to her, bringing her ginseng tea, chatting for hours, even fixing her leaky faucet. She thought he was the perfect son-in-law. Don't you worry, I won't let Elena marry that actor. Over my dead body. Elena sighed, but she didn't argue. Her grandma had never liked Noah, calling him opportunistic for leaning on Elena's success. I squeezed the old lady's wrinkled hand. Grandma, don't say that you'll live to be 100. Elena's lucky to have you. Her smile widened. And she's lucky to have you. Without you, she wouldn't be where she is today. I didn't disagree. Even if the old Jasper was a jerk, his family's initial investments had helped Elena get her business off the ground. The $2 million was just fair. On the drive back, Elena glared at me. I'll talk Grandma around in a few days. The divorce is happening. Don't even think about backing out. I laughed. Back out? I'd have to be an idiot. That $2 million's worth more than me. Elena raised an eyebrow, like she didn't believe me. Stop playing hard to get. The next morning, my phone rang. It was the hospital. My mother, the original's mother, could have her surgery, but I needed to pay the fees in 3 days. $200K wasn't enough. Desperate, I raced to the hospital where Elena was visiting Noah. Elena, I need $300K more. I panted, bursting into the room. Before she could answer, Noah spoke up from the bed. He looked pale, but his eyes were sharp with anger. You want money? Sure. I met his gaze, knowing he wanted revenge. The old Jasper had humiliated him countless times back when Noah was a mechanic. Jasper had made him kneel to fix his car, then thrown cash in his face. Noah sneered. One striptease. $200K. I froze. He'd gotten cocky since becoming famous. But $200K was $200K, and my mom's life depended on it. Before he could finish his sentence, I'd stripped down to my underwear and started awkwardly writhing. I didn't care how ridiculous I looked. I just didn't want him to change his mind. Elena's mouth dropped open. Noah stared, dumbfounded. The old Jasper would have rather died than do something so humiliating. Elena's face twisted with disgust. Jasper dash. I pinched my thigh hard, forcing tears to well up. My mom's dying. I don't want to do this, but he's offering enough to save her. I looked up at Elena, my eyes red. Want me to do one for you too? For old time's sake, $30K discount. That pushed her over the edge. Put your clothes on and get out. In the end, Noah still gave me $400K, probably to rub it in my face. Elena's bodyguards threw me out, but I didn't care. I collapsed on the sidewalk, my back aching from the terrible dance, but grinning like an idiot. I had enough for the surgery. Just as I was about to stand up, a shadow fell over me. I looked up and froze. It was Luna, my arch-rival. Our feud had started at an auction. Years ago, I'd outbid her for a ruby necklace to give Elena. Back then, her family was richer than mine. But now, things were different. Chloe's eyes sharpened, like she could see right through my lie. Jasper, don't play dumb. That necklace was in the master bedroom, safe. You were the only one besides me who knew the code. My throat went dry. The original Jasper had memorized the code years ago, and I'd stumbled on it while packing. When I saw the ruby glinting inside, I'd instantly thought of the stock market tip I'd remembered from the novel one that could double my money in a month. Selling the necklace had felt like a no-brainer. Now, facing Chloe's glare, I realized I'd underestimated how attached she was to it. I told you, I haven't seen it, I repeated, forcing a casual tone. Maybe you moved it? Or maybe Noah borrowed it? He was over the other day, right? Maya, who'd been quiet by the couch, suddenly spoke up. Elena, you're divorced now. This is Jasper's house if he says he hasn't seen it. Maybe you should check your own place again. Her voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, like she wasn't about to let Chloe bully me. Chloe's gaze flicked to Maya, then back to me, her jaw tight. That necklace was a gift from my mother. It's not some trinket to lose. She stepped closer, her perfume mixing with the rainwater on her coat. If you sold it, I didn't sell it. I cut in, a little too loudly. My mind raced. If she found out I'd sold her mother's necklace, she might sue me. The $2 million was already tied up in stocks and the BMW order. I couldn't afford a lawsuit. Look, I'll help you look for it tomorrow, okay? Maybe it fell behind a drawer or something. But right now, it's late, and it's pouring rain. You should go home. Chloe stared at me for a long moment, like she was weighing whether to push further. Finally, she sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. Fine, but if I don't find it by tomorrow evening, I'm filing a police report. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. And Jasper, stop acting like money's the only thing that matters. You'll regret it. The door slammed shut behind her. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, leaning against the wall. Maya walked over, a smirk on her face. You sold the necklace, didn't you? I winced. How'd you know? Because you're terrible at lying, she said, sitting down on the couch. And that I haven't seen it line was so obvious. Even a kid would call you out. What did you do with the money? Stocks, I admitted, sitting next to her. There's a tech company that's gonna blow up next month. Read about it in a business magazine. I couldn't exactly tell her I'd gotten the tip from the novel. Maya raised an eyebrow. You're investing now? Since when do you care about stocks? Since I got divorced and realized money's the only thing that won't stab you in the back, I said, grinning. Unlike some people. She laughed, tossing a pillow at me. Fair enough. But you should probably find a way to fix the necklace mess. Elena's not the type to let things go, especially if it's something her mom gave her. I nodded, already thinking. Maybe I could buy a replica? Or find a way to get the original back before she filed a report. But the thought of dealing with Chloe again made my head hurt. Ugh, let's worry about it tomorrow. Right now, I need a drink. You want one? Maya shook her head. No, thanks. I should go soon. My dad's gonna call if I'm out too late. She stood up, adjusting the shirt I'd lent her. It was too big for her, hanging off one shoulder, and I couldn't help but notice how her cheeks were still pink. Wait, the rain's still coming down hard, I said, glancing out the window. I'll drive you home. My new BMW should be ready tomorrow, but I can take a cab with you. Maya hesitated, then smiled. Sure, thanks. We stood in the doorway, waiting for the cab to arrive. The rain tapped against the windows, and for a second, it felt like we weren't two people who'd spent years bickering, just two people, quiet and comfortable. You know, Maya said suddenly, I never thought you'd actually divorce Elena. The old Jasper would have begged her to stay. I shrugged. The old Jasper was an idiot. Chasing someone who didn't want him, wasting his family's money. I'm not going to make the same mistakes. She nodded, looking at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Good. You deserve better than someone who treats you like garbage. Before I could respond, the cab pulled up. Maya opened the door, then turned back. Hey, Jasper. Thanks for letting me stay. And for being my date at the banquet. I grinned. Anytime. Just remember you owe me 2 more dinners. She laughed, getting in the cab. Deal. I waved as the cab drove away, then went back inside. The house felt quiet without her, but I didn't mind. I pulled out my phone, checking my stock portfolio already up 5% since this morning. Things were finally going my way. The next day, I picked up my new BMW, a sleek black sedan that made me feel like $1,000,000. I drove to the hospital first, dropping off the rest of my mom's medical bills. The doctor said she'd be able to have surgery next week, and that she might even wake up soon. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders for the first time since transmigrating. I didn't feel like I was just surviving. I was living. On my way home, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Jasper. The voice was familiar, Noah. I rolled my eyes. What do you want? Elena's upset, he said, his tone sharp. She's been looking for that necklace all morning, and she's convinced you sold it. You need to fix this now. Why do you care? I asked. You're the one she's cooking for, remember? Let her handle her own problems. No, you don't get it, Noah said, sounding frustrated. That necklace, it's not just any gift. Her mom died wearing it. Elena's had it since she was 10. If you sold it, you're not just stealing from her, you're breaking something that matters. My stomach dropped. I hadn't known that. The original Jasper had never cared about Elena's past. He'd just seen the necklace as a shiny thing to give her. I felt a twinge of guilt, but I pushed it down. I already told her I didn't see it. There's nothing I can do. You're a coward, Noah said, hanging up. I stared at my phone, my mood soured. Maybe I had been too hasty. But it was too late now. The necklace was long gone, and the money was already invested. I'd just have to deal with Chloe if she came after me. That evening, I got a text from Maya. Dinner tonight? My treat. The fancy Italian place downtown. I smiled, texting back. Be there in 30. I put on a nice shirt, grabbed my keys, and headed out. As I drove to the restaurant, I passed Elena's office building. I saw her through the window, sitting at her desk, her head in her hands. For a second, I felt bad. But then I remembered how she'd locked me in the basement, how she'd ignored the original Jasper's feelings, how she'd treated me like I was nothing. I stepped on the gas, leaving the building behind. The Italian restaurant was beautiful, soft lighting, live music, tables covered in white cloths. Maya was already there, wearing a red dress that made her eyes pop. She stood up when she saw me, smiling. Nice car, she said, nodding at my BMW. Nice dress, I replied, pulling out her chair. We ordered dinner, steak for me, pasta for her, and a bottle of wine. We talked about everything. Her company, my stocks, her dad's annoying blind dates. For the first time in a long time, I didn't think about the novel or the original character's fate or Chloe. I just thought about the moment, about the food, the wine, and the girl sitting across from me. You know, Maya said, swirling her wine glass, I used to hate you. Thought you were a spoiled, arrogant jerk who only cared about Elena. I laughed. Fair. I used to hate you too. Thought you were a stuck-up rich girl who loved to pick fights. She grinned. We were both wrong, huh? Yeah, I said, looking at her. We were. After dinner, I drove her home. We sat in the car for a few minutes, quiet again. Jasper, she said, her voice soft. About Elena. If she comes after you for the necklace, let me know. My dad has connections, he can help. I nodded, touched. Thanks, Maya. I will. She leaned over, pressing a quick kiss to my cheek. Good night. And Jasper? Don't be a stranger. She got out of the car, walking up to her house. I touched my cheek, smiling like an idiot. Maybe this transmigration thing wasn't so bad after all. When I got home, there was an envelope on my doorstep. I picked it up. It was from Chloe. Inside was a letter and a check. The letter said, I found the necklace. It was in Noah's bag. He took it by accident, thinking it was his wallet. I'm sorry I accused you. The check is for $500K extra for all the times I hurt you. Goodbye, Jasper. I hope you find happiness. I stared at the check, then at the letter. I didn't know what to feel, relieved, guilty, happy. I put the check in my wallet, then pulled out my phone. I texted Maya. Hey, you free tomorrow? I owe you a dinner. My treat. She texted back immediately. Absolutely. Where? I smiled, typing, anywhere you want. As I lay in bed that night, I thought about everything that had happened. I transmigrated into a novel, become a villain, divorced a CEO, made money, and maybe, just maybe, found someone who actually cared about me. The original Jasper's fate had been tragic. But mine was just beginning. The banquet hall erupted in cheers, and the camera panned to me and Maya, our fingers laced, grinning like fools. I leaned over, pressing a soft kiss to her temple, and the audience roared even louder. This was the life I'd never dared to dream of back when I was slaving away at that dead-end job, pulling all-nighters just to make rent. Now, I had a thriving business, a woman who loved me for me, and enough money to never worry about tomorrow. Later that night, after the guests had left, Maya and I sat on the balcony of our penthouse, sipping champagne and watching the city lights. She rested her head on my shoulder, her hair smelling like jasmine. "You know," she said, her voice soft, "I still can't believe we're here. Remember when we used to fight over a ruby necklace?" I laughed, wrapping an arm around her. "How could I forget? You called me a simp, and I told you you'd die alone. Turns out we were both wrong." She poked my chest playfully. "Hey, I never said I'd die alone, I just said you would. Lucky for you. I took pity on you." I kissed her forehead, my heart full. "Yeah, lucky me." The next morning, I got a call from the hospital. My mom had woken up. I dropped everything, grabbing Maya's hand and rushing over. When we walked into the room, my mom was sitting up in bed, her eyes bright. She looked at me, then at Maya, and tears started to flow. "Jasper, you look happy." Finally, I squeezed her hand, my throat tight. "I am, Mom. Thanks to you. If it hadn't been for her medical bills pushing me to fight for the settlement, I might have never found the courage to break free from the original's fate." Maya stepped forward, holding out a bouquet of sunflowers, my mom's favorite. "Mrs. Hale, I'm Maya. Jasper talks about you all the time." My mom smiled, taking the flowers. "I've heard a lot about you too. He says you're the one who finally knocked some sense into him." Maya laughed, glancing at me. Someone had to. Over the next few months, life fell into a perfect rhythm. I ran the branch company with Maya, and we quickly became known as the power couple of the business world, she with her sharp strategic mind, me with my knack for connecting with clients. We visited my mom every weekend, took trips to the beach, and even adopted a golden retriever puppy we named Max. One afternoon, while I was at the office, my assistant knocked on my door. "Mr. Hale, there's a woman here to see you. She says her name is Elena." My pen paused mid-sentence. I hadn't heard that name in months. I hesitated, then said, "Send her in." When Elena walked in, she looked different. Her hair was longer, her suits replaced with a simple dress, and the cold edge in her eyes was gone. She stood in the doorway, fidgeting with her hands, like she didn't know where to put herself. "Jasper," she said, her voice quiet. "I'm sorry to bother you. I wanted to say something." I leaned back in my chair, keeping my tone neutral. "What is it?" She took a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. "I'm sorry. For everything. For locking you in the basement. For ignoring you. For choosing Noah over you. I was blind. I thought love was about grand gestures and childhood memories, but I was wrong. Love is about showing up. And you showed up for me, even when I didn't deserve it." I nodded, but I didn't feel the anger or hurt I used to. It was just gone. "I appreciate that, Elena. But I've moved on. Maya and we're happy." She smiled, a sad but genuine one. "I can see that. I watched your banquet live stream. You look at peace. That's more than I ever gave you." She pulled a small box out of her purse and set it on my desk. "This is the ruby necklace. I thought you might want it back. It was yours, after all." I looked at the box, then pushed it back to her. "Keep it. It belongs to someone who'll cherish it. I already have everything I need." Elena's eyes glistened, but she didn't argue. She picked up the box, nodded, and turned to leave. "Goodbye, Jasper. I hope you and Maya have a wonderful life." "Goodbye, Elena." After she left, Maya walked in, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. "How'd it go?" I turned to her, smiling. "It went fine." She apologized, gave back the necklace. Maya raised an eyebrow. "And you didn't take it?" I shook my head, pulling her close. "Why would I? I have you. What more do I need?" She kissed me, slow and sweet. "You're getting sappy. Come on, Max is waiting for us to take him to the park." We left the office, hand in hand, and drove to the park. Max ran around, chasing a butterfly, and we sat on a bench, watching him. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. "You know," Maya said, resting her head on my shoulder, "I never thought I'd marry someone like you. I always thought I'd marry a stuffy businessman, someone who talked about stocks and mergers all day." I laughed. "And I never thought I'd marry someone who once called me a simp. Life's funny that way." She squeezed my hand. "Yeah, it is. But I'm glad it's funny. I'm glad it led me to you." I kissed the top of her head, watching Max dart past us. For a second, I thought about the original Jasper, the boy who'd wasted his life chasing a woman who didn't love him, who'd let his family's wealth turn him into a monster. I was glad I'd broken free from that. I was glad I'd chosen me. Later that year, Maya and I got married in a small ceremony on the beach. My mom walked me down the aisle, tears streaming down her face. Maya's dad gave a speech about how proud he was of her, and how happy he was that she'd found someone who made her laugh. After the ceremony, we danced under the stars, Maya in my arms. She looked up at me, her eyes shining. "I love you, Jasper Hale." "I love you too, Maya Hale." A few months later, we found out Maya was pregnant. We sat in the doctor's office, holding the ultrasound photo, and cried happy tears. This time, Max lay at our feet, wagging his tail like he knew something exciting was happening. Life wasn't perfect. We had bad days when the business was stressful, days when we argued over silly things, days when we missed my mom's cooking. But we had good days too, days when we watched Max play, days when we felt the baby kick, days when we just sat together and enjoyed each other's company. And through it all, I never once regretted my choice. I never regretted signing those divorce papers, never regretted walking away from Elena, never regretted investing in Maya's company. Because every choice led me here to a life filled with love, happiness, and purpose. The original novel had a tragic ending for the villainous side character, but I didn't let that be my story. I wrote my own ending, one where the villain wins, not by defeating the hero, but by choosing himself. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. The banquet hall erupted in cheers, and the camera panned to me and Maya, our fingers laced, grinning like fools. I leaned over, pressing a soft kiss to her temple, and the audience roared even louder. This was the life I'd never dared to dream of back when I was slaving away at that dead-end job, pulling all-nighters just to make rent. Now, I had a thriving business, a woman who loved me for me, and enough money to never worry about tomorrow. A month after the banquet, Maya and I decided to host a small family dinner at our villa, just my mom, her dad, and a few close friends. I volunteered to cook, determined to show off the skills I'd picked up over the years, and finally prove I wasn't just the guy who once burned toast trying to impress a CEO. I spent the afternoon in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, marinating steak, and stirring a pot of my mom's famous tomato soup. Maya wandered in every few minutes, stealing bites of cheese and wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. "Need help?" she asked, nuzzling my neck. I shook my head, grinning. "Nope. Just sit there and look pretty. That's your job tonight." She laughed, pinching my cheek before grabbing a glass of wine and leaning against the counter to watch. Just as I was putting the finishing touches on the steak, the doorbell rang. Maya went to answer it, and I heard her gasp softly. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked out, only to freeze when I saw who was standing there. Elena, holding a small gift bag, her posture tense. "Elena," Maya said, her voice polite but guarded. Elena's eyes flicked to me, then back to Maya. "I'm sorry to intrude. I heard you were having a family dinner, and I wanted to drop off something for your mom, Mr. Hale." The nurse at the hospital said she'd been asking about the jasmine tea I used to bring her when she was recovering. My mom had mentioned Elena once or twice, saying she'd stopped by the hospital a few times after we divorced, bringing tea and magazines. I'd never paid it much mind, but now, seeing Elena standing there, looking nervous and out of place, I felt a twinge of something soft, not love, not regret, just recognition. I stepped forward, taking the gift bag from her. "Thanks. I'll give it to her. She'll appreciate it." Elena nodded, her gaze lingering on the dining table, on the plates set for four, the vase of sunflowers in the center, the way Maya's hand rested casually on my arm. "You look good, Jasper. Both of you." Maya squeezed my arm, her voice warm. "Thanks. Would you like to stay for dinner? We have plenty of food." Elena's eyes widened, like she hadn't expected the invitation. She hesitated for a second, then shook her head. "No, I shouldn't. I just wanted to drop this off. I'll get out of your way." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Jasper, congratulations on the company. I saw the news about your latest project. It's impressive." I smiled, genuine this time. "Thanks. You too heard your new skincare line is doing well." She nodded, a small, real smile tugging at her lips. "Yeah, it's been nice, focusing on work. No drama." With that, she walked away, her car pulling out of the driveway quietly. Maya looked at me, raising an eyebrow. That was unexpected. I shrugged, setting the gift bag on the counter. She's changed. I think she finally gets it. We're just two people who didn't work out. No hard feelings. My mom walked in just then, her eyes lighting up when she saw the gift bag. Is that jasmine tea? Oh, I've been craving that. She pulled me into a hug, pressing a kiss to my cheek. You two are too good to me. Now let's eat. This steak smells like heaven. We sat down to dinner, laughing and talking about old times. My mom told stories about me as a kid, how I tried to cook her breakfast on Mother's Day and burned the pancakes so bad they stuck to the pan. Maya's dad talked about how Maya had started her first business at age 10, selling lemonade on the corner and charging twice as much as the kid down the street. By the time we finished dessert chocolate cake Maya had baked, my cheeks hurt from smiling. Later that night, after everyone had left, Maya and I sat on the balcony, watching Max chase fireflies in the yard. She rested her head on my shoulder, her hand on my chest. You know what I loved most about tonight? She said. What? That Elena came, and you didn't even flinch. You didn't look back. You just were here, with me. I kissed the top of her head, wrapping my arm around her tighter. Why would I look back? I've got everything I need right here. The next morning, I took the jasmine tea to my mom. She brewed a cup, sipping it slowly, and smiled. You know, Jasper, I always worried about you. After your dad died, after the company went under, I thought you'd get stuck in that cycle of chasing people who didn't love you. But look at you now. You've got a wife who adores you, a business that's thriving, a life that's yours. I squeezed her hand, my throat tight. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You're the reason I fought for this. She shook her head, wiping a tear from her eye. No, baby. You fought for this because you finally realized you deserved it. That's the best gift you could ever give me. Over the next few months, life fell into a perfect rhythm. I ran the branch company with Maya, and we quickly became known as the power couple of the business world. She, with her sharp strategic mind, me with my knack for connecting with clients. We visited my mom every weekend, took trips to the beach, and even adopted a golden retriever puppy we named Max. One afternoon, while I was at the office, my assistant knocked on my door. Mr. Hale, there's a woman here to see you. She says her name is Elena. My pen paused mid-sentence. I hadn't heard that name in months. I hesitated, then said, send her in. When Elena walked in, she looked different. Her hair was longer, her suits replaced with a simple dress, and the cold edge in her eyes was gone. She stood in the doorway, fidgeting with her hands, like she didn't know where to put herself. Jasper, she said, her voice quiet. I'm sorry to bother you. I wanted to say something. I leaned back in my chair, keeping my tone neutral. What is it? She took a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. I'm sorry. For everything. For locking you in the basement. For ignoring you. For choosing Noah over you. I was blind. I thought love was about grand gestures and childhood memories, but I was wrong. Love is about showing up. And you showed up for me, even when I didn't deserve it. I nodded, but I didn't feel the anger or hurt I used to. It was just gone. I appreciate that, Elena. But I've moved on. Maya and we're happy. She smiled, a sad but genuine one. I can see that. I watched your banquet live stream. You look at peace. That's more than I ever gave you. She pulled a small box out of her purse and set it on my desk. This is the ruby necklace. I thought you might want it back. It was yours, after all. I looked at the box, then pushed it back to her. Keep it. It belongs to someone who'll cherish it. I already have everything I need. Elena's eyes glistened, but she didn't argue. She picked up the box, nodded, and turned to leave. Goodbye, Jasper. I hope you and Maya have a wonderful life. Goodbye, Elena. After she left, Maya walked in, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. How'd it go? I turned to her, smiling. It went fine. She apologized. Gave back the necklace. Maya raised an eyebrow. And you didn't take it? I shook my head, pulling her close. Why would I? I have you. What more do I need? She kissed me, slow and sweet. You're getting sappy. Come on, Max is waiting for us to take him to the park. We left the office, hand in hand, and drove to the park. Max ran around, chasing a butterfly, and we sat on a bench, watching him. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. You know, Maya said, resting her head on my shoulder. I never thought I'd marry someone like you. I always thought I'd marry a stuffy businessman, someone who talked about stocks and mergers all day. I laughed. And I never thought I'd marry someone who once called me a simp. Life's funny that way. She squeezed my hand. Yeah, it is. But I'm glad it's funny. I'm glad it led me to you. I kissed the top of her head, watching Max dart past us. For a second, I thought about the original Jasper, the boy who'd wasted his life chasing a woman who didn't love him, who'd let his family's wealth turn him into a monster. I was glad I'd broken free from that. I was glad I'd chosen me. Later that year, Maya and I got married in a small ceremony on the beach. My mom walked me down the aisle, tears streaming down her face. Maya's dad gave a speech about how proud he was of her, and how happy he was that she'd found someone who made her laugh. After the ceremony, we danced under the stars, Maya in my arms. She looked up at me, her eyes shining. I love you, Jasper Hale. I love you too, Maya Hale. A few months later, we found out Maya was pregnant. We sat in the doctor's office, holding the ultrasound photo, and cried happy tears, this time. Max lay at our feet, wagging his tail like he knew something exciting was happening. Life wasn't perfect. We had bad days when the business was stressful, days when we argued over silly things, days when we missed my mom's cooking. But we had good days, 2 days when we watched Max play, days when we felt the baby kick, days when we just sat together and enjoyed each other's company. And through it all, I never once regretted my choice. I never regretted signing those divorce papers, never regretted walking away from Elena, never regretted investing in Maya's company. Because every choice led me here to a life filled with love, happiness, and purpose. The original novel had a tragic ending for the villainous side character, but I didn't let that be my story. I wrote my own ending, one where the villain wins, not by defeating the hero, but by choosing himself. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made.